All right, I'm ready for grilling season. I learned a lot this week. Boy, grass-fed beef and different things to look at my grill. Let's take all that information, put it all together, and cook the best hamburger I have ever grilled today. I'm Chef Todd Moore. My mission is empowering people to cook without recipes. They experience the freedom to cook what they want, how they want it, the confidence to take control and try new things, the health benefits of fresh, wholesome foods, and the family-strengthening bonds of dinner time together, as well as the money they save by eating well. Live without rules, cook without recipes. It's a no-recipe lifestyle. Grilling the best hamburger actually starts inside because portioning is so important, so we'll start with our digital scale. I've got some North Carolina local grass-fed ground beef. It is 6.2 ounces of ground beef, so let's make ourselves two 3.1 ounce burgers. 3.1 ounces. 3.0, let's take a little bit off there. There we go, make them exactly the same. Portioning is so important in all cooking, but especially in grilling. Having patties exactly the same size gives you a few advantages. If everybody likes their hamburgers the same way, well then if they're exactly the same time, when one is medium rare or well done, whatever it may be, then they all are. Or if they're all exactly the same size and people like their hamburgers all different doneness levels, well then the first ones can come off rare and leave the other ones on. You can gauge the proportion between each, but the other side of it is, boy, if you have one hamburger that's 5 ounces and one that's 2 ounces, it's very difficult to cook them consistently. Portioning, the first and most important part of making a great hamburger. We're gonna wait for our grill to get rocket ship hot. I've got a temperature gauge on here. I waited to get pinned over 500 degrees. You want to get your coals, if this is charcoal, to that white ashy stage. If you don't have a temperature gauge on there, you want to wait till your grates get that white coal on them where everything has burned off. So we'll wait to get our grill really hot because this is direct, intense heat we're going to be using. Now when my grill is just about as hot as it'll get, I'm going to start to put these hamburgers on. But here's a trick that I learned from Don Jones at Holland Grill. Because a lot of times, you ever put your hamburger on the grill and the heat is so intense, that direct source heat is so intense that you get like a crust on the hamburger. I mean, it's burnt on the bottom, but it's still kind of raw inside. We're going to use a combination of convection and conduction today on our barbecue grill to make sure that our hamburgers are cooked perfectly without being charred. So with my grill steaming hot, first thing I'm going to do on the gas grill is turn off one side of the grill. I've turned this whole left burner side off, although these grates are still hot. If you're using a charcoal grill, this is where you take the grate off and you push the coals all the way to one side. But on the side that's still burning, go ahead and put my hamburgers down. The first few minutes of cooking use conductive heat, direct source, intense heat from below. And our object in this stage of cooking is to sear these burgers, get those nice grill marks on it, and watch the coagulation of proteins. You know, you put a raw hamburger on the grill, raw burger's this big, cooked hamburger much smaller. Well, we're gonna watch around the edges of this hamburger here and watch it turn from that pink color to a gray and brown as the proteins coagulate, stiffen, and start to creep up the side of the hamburger. I'm going to turn this when it's 75% done. My clues when it's time to turn the hamburger over, I notice the coagulation of proteins. The stiffening and shrinking around the edges of the burger. Do you see this fat here rendering from the side of the burger? Rendered fat. You see how it's gray and it's kind of sweating and dripping? Now's the time where I start thinking about turning it over, but I want to change it to the other side of the grill. That's what our beautiful hamburger looks like. But let's move this over to the side of the grill where we had turned the heat off. So we've cooked the hamburgers in a conductive fashion, direct source underneath, got our grill marks, rendered some of that fat, but now if we continue in that direct fashion, we're going to get that burnt char on the bottom. The idea is now to go to convective heat. And where we move the hamburgers to the side of the grill where I turned the heat off, left the heat on the other side, but now close the lid. And what have you done? You've created an outdoor oven, this convective cooking process like Don Jones talked about at Holland Grill. This is the way to cook the middle of your hamburger without charring the outside. Now the question, how do you tell when it's done? Well, I have heard more stories about poking your finger and poking your cheek and poking the hamburger. These are wives' tales. The only way to quantifiably tell when your hamburger is done is with a thermometer, and I'll show you something really cool that I have. This is a wireless, plug this in. This is a wireless digital thermometer. So I take my probe here and I'll put it on the inside of the hamburger. I have my receiver device. Let's go ahead and close this, and I will set this to the temperature that I like. Medium is about 140 degrees for me. We'll take it off the grill. Now, I don't have to worry about gashing it with a knife, looking inside, see if it's done. It's not done. Put it back together, cover it with some sauce, come back later, gash it with a knife again. Please, no poking, no gashing of your hamburgers. With a basic thermometer or a fancy wireless one, you'll know exactly when your hamburgers are done, exactly the way that you like them. Oh, hey, my hamburger's done. Precisely to the temperature that I would like. Woo, take that thermometer out. And what I have are these beautiful hamburgers with nice grill marks on top. I mean, who cares about the other side, whether there's grill marks? Nobody's going to see that. We need to grill mark one side. But the key here is the combination of convective and conductive cooking to get those nice grill marks at first, but finish the inside as if it were an oven with that indirect heat. Another way to use your barbecue grill and improve your cooking skills. There's no written recipe for this. There's no specific rule. I want you to be able to judge the amount of heat on your grill the same way that you do in a saute pan or the same way that you do in your oven. Cooking outdoors can be no more difficult and certainly no easier, guys, than cooking indoors if you follow these simple suggestions and you live a no recipe lifestyle.